We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Hit the subscribe button. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. If you want to put your support into this channel through a donation, hit the $, make a comment, and I will get to you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome. Welcome to Heisman City, the PATC community. Welcome into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway in Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend. With your comments in the chat room, with your phone calls later in the show, welcome on in. It is April 26th, Friday. The title of this show, what is the title of this show? The title of this show is, what does college football look like in summer of 2024? Seems like a pretty innocent title. It seems like a pretty innocent, non-controversial title. Right? It's going to be no fireworks. We're not going to be throwing elbows in the chat room like it was in the last live show. Everything is, everything's gentle, fine, unicorn, rainbows, bunny rabbits. Everything is just fine. It might not be all that innocent. That question, the question of what does the summer of 2024 look like in college football? That was asked about 10 months ago from a certain somebody. And when we look back at that certain somebody, it's not me. It was somebody that you see on your TV every college football Saturday. It's interesting. Very, 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 very interesting to go back and look at what this person said and then compare it to what's happened and then compare it to what's happening today, late April. We here at Peek Around the Corner, we recognize, I don't like to get caught into my own silo of information, my own biases, my own beliefs. I like to keep poking and prodding. I don't want to be stuck in a silo. The fat guy from Minnesota cannot afford to be stuck in his own silo because you guys might not be able to get me out of the situation. Yeah, are you getting me? Are you getting me? If I get stuck in my silo, I need space. I need to be able to peer out. I need to be able to look out. I need to be able to walk out. Take a look. Poke and prod. And we recognize that there is this quickening that's going on. There definitely is this quick in all aspects. In all aspects of college football, in all aspects of the media companies, potential media partners, how we watch things, it's quickening. Now, here at Peek Around the Corner, we were the ones who broke the USC to the Big Ten. We were right on it with Colorado being the tip of the spear, center stage. We knew what the hot bubble of action. We if you were part of the PATC community, we were all over that. We've had to put the brakes on when other people were pressing the gas. We were pressing the brakes, and we nailed those stories as well. One of them being, look, SEC and the Big Ten, yes, they could very well split away and create their own playoffs. But not in 2026. We hit the brakes on that. We were correct. We were, 9 days off on Florida State putting their flag into the ground. We were a little bit more than 9 days off when Clemson filed their lawsuit. However, I've been quite stringent. I've been really putting the foot onto the brakes about all these theories, suggestions, or other people's inside information. All these things about things could happen this summer. Florida State could be going in, be an independent football program. I still don't believe that's going to happen. However, or Florida State could be playing in the Big Ten and the SEC in 2025. I still think it's going to be 2026. But whatever. I've always believed, my first episode on this YouTube channel was the manifesto that student athletes were going to be collective bargaining agreement with conferences. You guys know that. Go all the way back to episode 1. You don't have to, but for those who were with me, and I think all that is still happening, even a little bit quicker than I believe it was going to happen. And I was way out in front of that. There's more evidence today that things are just picking up speed, and maybe even us at college football's peek around the corner. Maybe we're not peeking far enough. Maybe we're a little too slow. What is college football going to look like for the summer of 2024? I think we kind of know, right? Expanded playoffs, 12 teams, 5+7 model. There's going to be 18 teams in the Big Ten, no divisions. 16 teams in the SEC, no divisions. We're going to go, what is it? 17 teams in the ACC with Notre Dame with their 5-game scheduling model. We got the Big 12 now at 16 teams, no divisions. We've got flex schedules. We got flex rivalries. We got the G5 maintaining the one college football playoff spot. But then again, it's already quickening. This thing about G5 potentially holding their own playoffs in the years ahead. This quickening about private equity. We're going to go through a story today by On3. Private equity. A lot of people are drinking the Kool-Aid. They're taking a jug of Kool-Aid, pouring it over their head, putting a little bit of gasoline, lighting the match, and private equity. Not just the Florida State Seminole things. It's a whole conference thing. It could be a whole playoff structure thing. Quickening. Things are going at such a pace that I cannot sit here and stand and sit here and not recognize it. Ryan Willie, at least the Packers didn't pick another Iowa player in the first round. Why don't the Packers pick a wide receiver in the first round? What is going up there in Green Bay? What is going on in Green Bay? Pick a wide receiver. Get some weapons. Thank you, Ryan Willie, for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Cooper DeJean should have been picked in the first round. What is going on? What is going on? An unbelievable football player. And what I love Michael Penix Jr. Love him. But what are the Atlanta Falcons doing? I don't get it. I will let other people cover that. Of course, you can put comments, super chats, love them. Give me a call. Let me know what you think about the NFL draft. But in my monologue, we talk college football or anything connected to college football. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your continued generosity, Mr. Ryan Willie. But tell somebody in the Green Bay organization, you gotta draft a wide receiver in the first round at some point. So yeah, there's more evidence that this quickening continues. And we're going to, at the very end of the monologue, we're going to go through, somebody was kind enough to show me off another website what a certain person said months ago about the summer of 2024. And when you read it, very, very, very interesting. I don't think the person was just talking out of the top of his head. In fact, I believe I know I said that. I know I said at the time when the person said it, because we covered it here at Peek Around the Corner. You're gonna understand why we covered it. I said at the time, this person's been talking to people because it was the same stuff that we were reporting. But it's very interesting now when you look back on it, when that person said the summer of 2024, I think that person, we're going to get to that person, whoever that is, you'll find out in a little bit. I think that person anticipated the quickening, the great quickening that we are feeling, that we are seeing early in 2024. The potentiality of even quicker things happening. The Attorney General Moody getting in the act when it comes to the ACC, Florida State. That deadline is creeping up, man. February, it's not too far away from now. We're April 26th. ESPN's got to make a decision. That deadline, it's February 1st, not February 28th. The quickening is here. And there's more evidence of it today. And we're going to go through that, and then we're going to talk about the person, the gentleman who talked about this summer of 2024, about a year ago, what it was going to look like. Real fascinating. Incredibly fascinating. Let me say thank you for everybody who's come on in at the beginning of this Friday afternoon show. Colorado Buffalo, Richard L. is in the house. Charlie Atwood, Minnesota Seminoles is here. Randy Taylor, summertime is a-coming. And when summertime hits, when we get beyond this portal window, we're going to focus in on PATC conference predictions. Buckle up. I'm all pumped up. I am all pumped up. Cornelius Green is in the house. Praise the Lord, Greg. You are absolutely correct. Tyler Brown, it's draft day, Greg. I'm here to say hi, but I am not a-staying. That's my loss. That's not your loss. Tyler Brown, NFL draft. Everybody's pumped up for day 2. Bob Swanger is in the house. Expedition Greg, Matt Neeson. Hello, Greg. Go Cyclones. Some Cyclones, some Hawkeyes. A whole bunch of people suing whoever. I'm not really covering that story here at Peek Around the Corner. One of the stories that I have to just let drop because there's so much else to talk about, but a very interesting story nonetheless. Stephen Vitt is in the house. Florida man, Seminole is in the house. Carrie, go Nose. Carrie, I hope you got your trucker hat. PATC trucker hat from the merchandise store. You should have already gotten it by now. Let me know if you actually received the trucker hat. Chief fan. West Virginia spring game tomorrow. Pat McAfee, Pat White will be there. Holy smokes. Raider Vision. Texas Tech Raiders. Expedition Greg. Matthew Carlson. Go Blue. Go Lions. Zachmach is in the house. Cameron B. Rock Chop J. Hawk. Tim Bales is here. Jane is here. Les Austin Jr. Hail to the victors. I had to sing that quite a few times at the end of the year. I sang Hail to the victors at least 4 different times on PATC. So if you are not here to hear my singing of it, consider yourself very, very, very fortunate. Don in Kansas is in the house. RT is here. Peter Shields, Gold Nose, Skaven. Yes, yes. Hello, Mad Gopher. Hello to you, Mick Stevens. Mick Stevens, Mr. Horn Frog, Vamonos. Rob Swanger is here. RT is in the house. Holy smokes. Extra is here. I don't know how to say the rest of that stuff. Extra is here, is in the house. Daniel is here. Jay Chapman, Randy Taylor, Dallas Marquez. Hello to you, Dallas Marquez. Okay. So we're talking about this quickening. First of all, we have some things to talk about here in college football that doesn't have to do with that. Washington Huskies true freshman quarterback Demarcus Davis has entered the transfer portal. 4-star prospect, number 8 quarterback, just in last year's class. Tested the portal in January. I do remember that. Kalen DeBoer's departure, then returned to Washington. Now he's back in the portal. Big Ten Ted, a friend of the program, Austin Mack, DeMarcus Davis, have both bolted out of Seattle, which puts the quarterback future in the likely hands of Demon Williams Jr., who originally signed with Arizona before following Jedd Fisch. So, there it is, Washington. Mr. Williams Jr., he's going to have the ball in his hands, it looks like. Let me know, Washington Husky fans in the chat room or with your phone calls later in the show, what you're thinking. What are you thinking? Do you feel comfortable about this situation? In Maryland Terrapins, who, by the way, have their own, you know what? Let me see if I can, let me see if, again, Big Ten Ted had a little video on that. Maryland Terrapins. Sean Brock, former Iowa offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz will join the Maryland staff in an analyst role, per Jeff Erman, Maryland 247. Brian Ferentz is staying in the Big Ten. Now, Maryland has their own spring football game tomorrow. They've got their own quarterback battle going on for QB1. Cameron Edge has been there, I don't know how long he's been there, 1 or 2 years. Billy Edwards and M.J. Morris. M.J. Morris, who transferred from North Carolina State. Morris, Edwards, Edge, Maryland battle. So, I know we got a bunch of Maryland Terrapins in the PATC community. What are you expecting? Let me know in the chat with your phone calls later in the show. What are you expecting here? Who's going to win that quarterback battle? Who do you want to win that quarterback battle? Morris, Edwards, or Edge? Morris, Edwards, or Edge? Let me know. And then North Carolina State, Brian Murphy, WRAL. Their coach, head coach Doran, gets a new deal. $5.5 million with $125,000 raised each year and up to $1.325 million in bonuses. Doran's done a good job at State, but no 10-win seasons or appearance in the ACC title game. But the expectations are now up. And you guys know how I feel about the North Carolina State Wolfpack this season. I'm inching closer and closer and closer in putting the Wolfpack in the ACC championship game. In the Seminoles, you better be careful. There's some other teams that might knock you out of the ACC championship game. I'm just saying, I ain't saying. We'll see what happens with Damian Martinez in Miami. The ACC is going to be the Pac-12 of last year. A fascinating conference race to get to the ACC championship game. Now, first of all, I just want to quickly go through this story. And this kind of plays in to the quickening part of this story. Right? Amazon Prime acquires NBA broadcast rights per sources, putting pressure on TNT, NBC. Now, you might be saying, Greg, this has nothing to do with college football. Yeah, not directly. Not directly. But remember when the Pac-12 was negotiating with streaming companies, Amazon was kind of lukewarm on it. Apple was all in on it. And I kept hearing from people saying, it's the timing is not right. The timing is not right. But you know what? The timing is going to be right probably the next go around when it comes to the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, whatever left out there. I would expect some Tier 1 games to be on a major streaming platform the next go around when it comes to media packages. The quickening, it's coming. So there's a story there. There is Amazon is expected the Prime Video's package will include significant regular season and postseason games. Perhaps even some conference finals. ESPN's going to get championship games. But Prime Video, they're getting significant content in the NBA. Quickening. It's happening quicker than many people believed it was going to happen. And it looks like this is going to get into the college football space. It's getting quick. It's getting quick. It's quickening. It's picking up pace. ESPN, ABC also has a framework of a deal with expectations that agreement will be completed. Like Amazon, ESPN's new contract is also expected to be at least a decade in length. So this is a long-term contract. Not as long as the 2016 contract that the ACC schools signed, but it's still pretty long, 10 years, and ESPN is going to be the primary rights holder to NBA games. It talks about down here, one agreement ESPN will cut down from around 100 games to around 80 games. A natural landing spot for Amazon's regular season games could be Thursday night, where it's already jumped, has the NFL from September to early January. In the NBA in recent years have moved off its Thursday, not to go head to head with the NFL, but is expected to have significant playoff inventory. Amazon has shown interest in global rights, which has been a key part of the NBA's negotiating strategy, as it's lined all of its domestic and international deals to end the following 24-25 season. The NBA has made it clear that it wanted to define itself for the next frontier of viewing, with streaming at the forefront. I got a feeling that streaming is coming in college football and it will be at the forefront. It's going to get some top tier content the next go around, and that might even include the SEC. I think the days of the SEC just being with Disney, just being with ESPN and ABC, I think those days might be coming to an end the next go around. We shall see. Okay, so I just wanted to, that's another example of what I believe is the quickening. Things seem to be moving faster than anybody expected. Major streaming platforms getting top content, not just any old content, top content. Amazon getting playoff content, NBA playoff content, Amazon getting possibly conference final content. And if that does good in the next 2 to 3, 4 years, the Big 10, Big 12, SEC, ACC, they're going to be jumping on it. Remember, Amazon did bid on Big 10 content. And they offered more money than NBC and CBS, but the Big 10 said, no, the timing isn't quite ready. Looks like it's ready now. We'll see. We shall see. Now, this is going to... this was on 3 earlier today. You're talking about quickening. You're talking about things coming at us faster and faster. If we are to take this article as 100% accurate, and I think that's unreasonable, but if On3 sources have a crystal ball, holy smokes. If private equity, the potentiality of private equity becoming a major player in college football, that's quickening, ladies and gentlemen. And if that happens, and it looks like it's going to happen according to this article, all bets are off. It's just another wild variable to everything in college football. Everything in college football. Group of 5 playoff concept highlights industry's Game of Thrones reality by Eric Prisbell. The most noteworthy takeaway. By the way, hold on. I do apologize here. Crab cakes and football. Sorry, did not get you super chat. Champ Long should get his shot at quarterback. Thank you for the super chat, Crab Cakes and football. I do appreciate your generosity. You do have a quarterback competition. Is it going to be settled tomorrow, Saturday, spring football game? Buckle up. We also have Nebraska. We also have West Virginia. Nebraska's going through some terrible tornadoes, including Lincoln, Nebraska. So my prayers, PATC prayers, are out to our fellow Nebraskans. Hope all is well. Stay safe. Okay. The most noteworthy takeaway, thank you, Crab Cakes and football. The most noteworthy takeaway from the Group of 5 playoff concept hatched by former Tennessee football coach Derek Dooley isn't their early stage vision, which is understandably fraught with hurdles. Rather, it's what the idea says about where the chaotic college sports industry is now and where it's headed. The prospect of a Group of 5 playoff, first reported by CBS Sports' Dennis Dodd, backed by the financial muscle of private equity, is all about beginning to shape a lucrative, viable, and sustainable second tier of the future professionalized college sports ecosystem. Prominent sources describe to On3. Private equity. According to these sources, it's coming in like a freight train. Remember the AAC new commissioner, Prinetti? He's all about private equity. He made that perfectly clear. In his very first, him being announced as the new commissioner, he talked about private equity to anybody who wanted to hear about it. And now these prominent sources are telling On3, backed by the financial muscle of private equity, it's all about beginning to take shape a lucrative, viable, sustainable second tier of future professionalized college sports ecosystem. But now, who is in that second tier? Who is in that second tier? Now, this is, if you haven't read this article, this is going to upset a lot of people in the chat. It's going to upset a lot of people in the chat. According to what the sources are telling On3, this is a potentiality. There's nothing being reported here, but I know some people are going to take this pretty personal. So if you're sitting down, you might want to stand up. If you're standing up, you might want to sit down from what you're about to read. In football, in both football revenue and on-field competitive heft, the SEC and the Big Ten continue to lap the field, bolstering the widely held belief that the super conferences will look and act more like the AFC and NFC of the college football's new world. Could the Group of Five playoff idea expand? Sources stress that the G5 only tournament idea, pitting winners of the 8 divisions in a tournament that awards a college football playoff automatic berth, entails only Group of Five schools right now. Right now is in italics. Right now. The second tier playoff system, with private equity being the muscle behind it. The idea is pitting the winners of the 8 divisions in a tournament, and I think it's going to be very hard to get those 8 divisions. I think it's going to be very difficult to get the Mountain West, so whatever comes out of the Mountain West pack and the AAC to be okay with this, but whatever. Pitting winners of the 8 divisions in a tournament that awards a college football playoff automatic berth entails only Group of Five schools right now. As conference realignment continues to take hold and super conferences look to congeal, the industry's so-called second tier could ultimately also include some Big 12 and ACC schools left on the outside of the 2 super leagues once the music stops. The second tier is so fragmented. A prominent industry source told on Thursday, yesterday, everyone is vying for the adult table. The second tier / G5 is truly Game of Thrones. And here it is. Here is the next page. If efforts to join the 2 super conferences fail, a second tier endgame would be the fallback option for Big 12 schools like Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State, and ACC schools lacking big brand recognition. They could be second tier members to complement the Group of Five schools already at the table. That scenario would make Dooley's concept more appealing to a variety of stakeholders. So in other words, the G5 at some point, when this super, whatever you want to call it, breakaway, AFC, NFC, SEC, Big Ten, they add more schools, but whatever's left over, that would be an appealing addition to the stakeholders for the G5 tournament. Now, I'm going to make a comment about that at the end of this article, and I know a lot of people are going to make a comment about this article. Group of Five playoff idea could create cash flow. But even if the concept entails only the current Group of Five schools, current Group of Five leagues, sources said, it still offers sustainable, reliable cash flows as one considers the future of TV, with live sports being the lifeblood of the current linear TV model. No question about that. Live sporting event is king when it comes to content. Live sporting content is king. Live sporting content is king. But is it going to make more for everybody in that second tier versus what they're getting right now in combination with the SEC and the Big Ten? That's attractive to the private equity world, stakeholders said, albeit likely not as alluring as financial deals with individual schools. A prominent source familiar with the private equity space told On3 they don't care whether this is a good football team or not. What they care about is, will there be economic viability? I think there will be for this second tier league. And then finally in the article, make no mistake, sources said, private equity is coming to college sports in specific schools. Private equity firms are circling. Private equity has been heavily investing in sports for an extended period of time already. New Commissioner AAC Tim Pernetti said during his introductory news conference, it's like circling the neighborhood in college sports, but it hasn't parked its car in anyone's driveway yet. I think that's inevitable. I'm going to go back a page here. That's attractive to private equity world, stakeholders said. A second-tier playoff system, albeit likely not as alluring as financial deals with individual schools. Make no mistake, sources, private equity is coming to college sports and specific schools. We've been hearing about that over and over again, and now everyone's saying it's a coming. How fast does it get here? What schools are the first ones to bring in private equity, a private equity firm? We know Florida State's been dabbling in it. We believe, we know that Clemson has as well. What G5 schools have done it? What type of deals are they going to strike? What type of deal is this? Is there the creation of the second tier playoff? What type of deal are they going to strike with private equity? When it was first reported about private equity with Florida State and other potential things happening in college football with private equity, everyone kind of, rubbed their chin and said, whoa, maybe down the line, but it's coming. It's coming like this. It's coming like this. It's quickening. Everything is quickening. We've done 2 stories already. Right? Amazon, they're getting top, not the conference finals, not the NBA. Amazon's not getting NBA finals games, but everything else they're going to get. They're going to get conference final games. They're going to get meaningful regular season games. They're going to get playoff games, conference, Western Conference, Eastern Conference, some of those final games. Amazon's getting top tier NBA content on a major streaming platform, quickening. Everything is quickening. Everything is happening faster and faster. The change is going on faster and faster. Private equity in college football, we are going to be reporting on private equity contracts with schools, potentially with conferences, and potentially with the whole structure of G5, this second tier playoff. And we're also going to be, at some point, we're going to be reporting on contracts. The backup quarterback of the Kansas Jayhawks just signed a 2-year contract, $275,000 a year. 3rd year is an option, a player option for the backup quarterback of the Kansas Jayhawks. This world is coming on like a freight train. Quickening. It's happening faster and faster. So, what does all that mean? The title of this show Oh, by the way, I got to get to another point in that article. Kerry Gold knows everyone thought Florida State was the bad guy for raising hell and sticking it to the ACC. How do you feel about that now? Kerry Gold knows. I think anyone who was not a Seminole fan before, still not a Seminole fan now, I do get your point. The more I've said this over and over again. The more this case unfolds, the more it is quite obvious that Florida State did what they had to do. They did what they had to do. There is little risk in what Florida State's doing. Little risk. Very little risk in a high upside. Same with Clemson. No question about it. Thank you so much for your super chat. Kerry Gold knows. Kerry Gold knows. Let me know. Give me a yes that if you got that trucker hat. Or give me a no if you did not. But I appreciate you super chat. I appreciate your continued generosity. One more thing I want to get to before we get to this big part of the monologue. The major part of our monologue today, April 26th. Let's see. This whole thing, right? This part. If efforts to join the two super conferences fail, a second tier end game would be the fallback option for Big 12 schools. They're just putting out examples. Texas Tech, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, ACC schools lacking big brand recognition. They could be second tier members to complement the group of 5 schools already at the table. That's not how it's going to work. That's just not how it's going to work. If there is a second tier playoff, and if there's some Big 12 and ACC schools that don't make it to the highest ground that's needed to get into the highest playoff years down the road, G5 will not, those schools in the Big 12 and the ACC will not be complementing the G5 schools. There might be some G5 schools complementing those Big 12 and ACC schools. Let's not get it twisted here. Let's not get it twisted. But I don't want to spend any more time on that part of the story. This was just examples of quickening. Private equity, Amazon, and now we're going to get to the story that we wanted to get to. Thank you, Kerry Gold knows. Good. I'm glad it's comfortable. The embroidering, they had to change it up a little bit. That's why it came late. I do apologize. Thanks once again for your super chat. Kerry Gold knows. Okay. So, I'm gonna show you. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Everybody, time out. PATC Chalk Talk. PATC Chalk. Who said the following? Who said the following? Let me know in the chat room who said this in June of last year. Who said this in June of last year? Everybody is bracing for the 12-team playoff, which is cool and gets a lot of excitement. But I think what people are underestimating is how much more movement there's going to be in realignment. Everybody's bracing for the 12-team playoff, which is cool. It's getting a whole lot of excitement, but I think what people are underestimating is how much more movement there's going to be in realignment. Now, this was right before Washington and Oregon, when we found out they went to the Big Ten. Remember, that happened on August 4th. This was in June of last year, not August of last year. Who said this? I feel like the Big Ten and the SEC, who are the big pillars in this whole thing, I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but they're not staying at 16. They're going to go to at least 20. So this person is saying that the SEC and the Big Ten, they're not staying at 16. The Big Ten did not stay at 16. They're going to go to at least 20. SEC and the Big Ten are going to at least 20. Who said this? June of last year. Who's going where? Where's North Carolina going? Where's Oregon going? Where's Washington going? Where's Clemson going to end up? Where's Florida State going to go? Where's Miami going? Who said that? This same person is saying all this in the same interview, the same day, the same interview. Who's going where? Where's North Carolina going? Where's Oregon going? This was a few weeks before the August 4th. A couple months before August 4th, when Oregon and Washington were going to the Big Ten. But you see, this person singled out Oregon and Washington. Did not say Stanford, did not say California, right? The person started with North Carolina, talked Clemson, talked Florida State. Oh! And the person mentioned Miami. And I happen to think the person had a real good reason why the person mentioned the schools that he did. There's so much to me that's fascinating. I'm sure it won't happen during the football season, and it did not. Oregon and Washington happened before the football season, or maybe it will. That I'm guessing it happens after this year. I think it's going to be a fascinating time when we sit here and talk next June, getting ready for the 24th season. I think it's going to be a fascinating time when we sit here and talk next June, getting ready for the 24 season. And here we are, we're getting ready for the 24th season. It's not summer yet. But this gentleman was anticipating very quickly getting to the point where we're going to be talking about North Carolina. We're going to be talking about Clemson. We're going to be talking about Florida State. And we're going to be talking about Miami. And by the way, those are the schools that are on the stage at the Holy Smokes Theater. And we got Notre Dame in the deep shadows on the far end of the stage. Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit. Now, I know a lot of people do not like, especially Florida State Seminole fans. A lot of people may not like Kirk Herbstreit. I disagreed with Kirk Herbstreit's take on the playoff situation, and it's okay to disagree. What I got upset with was Kirk Herbstreit and the rest of the ESPN panel refused. I shouldn't say completely refused, but they didn't talk about Alabama's resume like they talked about Florida State's resume. They basically refused to talk about Alabama's resume, the weaknesses of Alabama's resume. They went on and on about Florida State, but then they didn't want to compare it to what Alabama. That was if you come up with a decision that Alabama should have been in Florida State, I disagree with you, but I just disagree with you. But when you don't talk Alabama's resume, show after show after show, leading up to it, during the show, after the selection show, that's when the fat guy from Minnesota lost it. So, but, look, it's this industry, this college football reporters, analysts, media people, media partners, they are always talking. They're the people behind the curtain that I bring you the information, the chatter. The chatter is still there, of course. Nothing's really changed. Florida State chatter, North Carolina chatter, Clemson chatter, Miami chatter. And it's not by accident that Kirk Herbstreit mentioned Oregon, Washington. He didn't want to say where Oregon, Washington, the Big Ten. He says, where are Oregon, Washington going? Well, people knew in the industry that the Big Ten wanted to crack in with Oregon and Washington, but they had to have the Big 12 crack the Pac-12 one more time. It happened. North Carolina, where they're going. Clemson, where they're going. Miami State, where they're going. Okay. So, early in the monologue, we talked about the quickening. Everything seems to be happening quicker and quicker and quicker. Private equity is coming. It's basically here. We're going to be hearing about stories by the end of the summer, before the end of the summer. Private equity deals, some sort of relationship with individual schools, possibly entire conferences, and a possible playoff structure years down the head when it comes to second tier playoff, whatever. We've ourselves have said, we reported to you all a couple weeks ago. I think it was a couple weeks ago. PATC, we were told by the Florida State Money Perch that if it is all needed, it is ripe for Florida State to strike with a private equity firm. We know the name of it. Allegedly. Allegedly, what I'm saying is it's allegedly. Private equity is coming like a freight train. Streaming platform, Amazon, get an NBA, real good top tier content. Streaming, carrying college football, top tier games is now coming like a freight train. G5 making potential changes to their, making an additional playoff in the few years down the road, making their own playoffs, coming in like a freight train. And now, more expansion for the SEC and Big Ten. Is that coming in like a freight train? Is that happened before the 2025 football season? Over the last however months, I have been saying, hold on. Hit the brakes. It's going to take to 2026. It's going to take to 2027. I don't know. I am completely open to the idea that this thing is going to happen for the 2025 season, no later than 2026 season. ESPN, we do not have the financial figures. We do not have the financial figures. For one, the deal is not officially done. But it is done. But it's not done. Until it's done. We're not gonna find out what the numbers are. But they're gonna be exorbitant. It's gonna be massive. Even in this tight media market, it's gonna be big. ESPN made sure that they maintain, have a hold, have a grip on the championship final games. But Amazon has taken a big piece of this. And the money, we're going to find out what the money was spent on ESPN to make sure they got the tier 1 games. And of course, how does that play into ESPN's decision on whether they're going to continue ACC's content from beyond 2027? And that decision comes someday or on the day of before or on February 1st, 2025. So, I'm going to take your phone calls. You can talk to me about anything in college football. Spring games coming up, private equity. We have got West Virginia. Tomorrow's West Virginia game. We've got Nebraska. There was an article written by CBS Sports talking about Nebraska Cornhuskers game. Dylan Raiola. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to have any watch parties for any games tomorrow. I'm very disappointed in that, but my scheduling will not allow it. I'm shooting for a Saturday night is all right for PATC live show, but I'm not going to be able to do Nebraska's West. I'm not going to be able to do anybody's game. I'll be able to keep an eye on it a little bit, but I'm too busy tomorrow afternoon. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. If you want to become a member of Cloak and Dagger, early peak member of our YouTube channel, just go to the description box, hit the link, hit the join button, and become a member. Cloak and Dagger College Football.
Call from
Anthony. Oh.
Anthony, the floor is yours.
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
Anthony. I'm doing pretty good, and I'm calling to return the favor about Michigan State. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Can you turn? I'm getting an echo. Can you turn that off?
Oh yeah, I'm watching this on my PlayStation 5. I'll turn it down.
Got it.
Better.
Now, what did you say? Something about Michigan State?
Oh, by the way, before I take any further, I'm deaf, just like you.
Yeah.
So I'm wasn't born deaf, but I was deaf afterwards. So
yes,
as you can hear it in my voice, I'm kind of deaf.
Not a problem. I am as well. So go ahead. No problem with me.
Okay, so I'm calling you. I'm going to talk very briefly about Michigan State.
Yep.
Michigan State, yeah, there's a lot of buzz around Adrian Child, our new quarterback from Oregon State.
Yes, sir.
Our practice that had been looked like he'd been throwing the ball left and right, going hitting receivers and all that. And I just got back. I'm a little bit whipped up.
That's okay. Take your time.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Michigan State. As much as I like what's going around, but I want to make sure that to all the MSU fans, we got to keep our expectations in check.
Yeah.
All the buzz, everything like that. Not having high expectations for this team right now because the Mel Tucker era, that was a mess.
Yes. Can I just
go ahead?
I know there's probably some consternation in East Lansing right now about the players the defensive players that you all lost in the portal, Barrow and a few other guys, right?
Right.
I got to tell you, and I made this real clear over the last 3 or 4 years. I know he got a little bit of a cold reception in East Lansing, but I am a massive fan, a huge fan of defensive coordinator Joe Rossi. I'm going to tell you something. What he did at Minnesota was a bleeping miracle. An absolute miracle. The Gophers took a big step back last year. So the numbers were terrible, but we got gutted through the portal. We did not have, things are different this year. The Minnesota's NIL, everything's really blooming this year. But last year, they were not ready. They lost a bunch of guys. Then we had a bunch of injuries. Joe Rossi had no chance. We were playing all redshirt freshmen midway through the season to the end of the year. We had no chance to compete. But the previous 4 or 5 years, Minnesota's defense has been great. He got every juice out of every recruiting class he possibly could get. There's a whole bunch of NFL players coming from Minnesota. Antoine Winfield, Carter Coughlin. You can go right down the list. This safety, the guy who's going to be picked, Tyler Nubin, who's going to be picked early in the second round, all Big Ten safety. Joe Rossi recruited him, developed him. Joe Rossi is the real deal Holyfield. So I know things are probably a little bit anxiety-filled at East Lansing because you're losing these defensive guys, but I'm telling you, man, Joe Rossi is the real deal when it comes to coaching defense. Go ahead,
yeah,
sir.
Okay. After thank for the encouragement. But nevertheless, after amateur fan, by the way, I was at that Minnesota game last year. I can't tell you how much I do not watch that game. You guys just ran the ball all over it.
Yeah, the last 2 years, the Gophers kind of kicked the Spartans around. But with Joe Rossi, give him a couple years and nobody's going to be kicking the Spartans' defense around. You got to give him time. You guys are spending a lot of money on him, so give him time.
Okay. All I ask, I'm not trying to go too high. I don't want amateur to be thinking we're going to reach the national championship like in 2 years. I want to keep it be competitive within the Big Ten. You just maybe every now and then win the Big Ten title or something like that, go to a good bowl game or something like that. But I want to go back to be a competitive team in the Big Ten.
Yes.
That's all I ask.
Yes.
If we go to a national championship, that's great. I'm not going to keep my hopes way too high on that.
Yeah.
Trust me, watching MSU basketball this season, going from national title contender to almost midway toward the bottom of the Big Ten, that's something I don't want happening with Michigan State football.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yep.
So,
I got it, man. I appreciate the phone call.
So anyway, no problem. Oh, by the way, dig it.
Got it. Thank you,
sir. Is that too loud? Anyway, take care, Greg.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Call again, sir.
Okay, when I can.
Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
I mean, you cannot blame Sparty fans for being excited about Aiden Childs. I mean, I like that Levitt guy that they had. I don't know why he did not play. He should have been playing. Now he's at Arizona State, and he's going to be their quarterback. I really like that guy. I liked his feet. I liked his arm at Michigan State, but he got behind a couple other quarterbacks. But they've got a quarterback. They've got a quarterback.
Call from
Crab Cakes and Football.
Crab Cakes and Football. The floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Getting ready to go home for the weekend, watch my spring game, and, just hang out with the wife and kid.
Yep. Yep.
This thing is, it's going fast. This is even going faster than I anticipated. I mean, I know I've been with you probably about episode 20 or so.
Yeah.
All the way through, and I remember, it's going to take a while. This isn't going to happen for another 10 or 15 years, and now we're talking possibly a year and a half from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a snowball that has gotten so big, and I mean, it's crazy. I never thought private equity would jump in with 2 feet without a parachute and just like left the letter like, don't even worry about me. I'll see you some other time, because it's all in on trying to upend football. I mean,
yeah.
Gee whiz. And
now you guys got a spring game tomorrow. You got MJ Morris. You got Caden Prather, the transfer from West Virginia 2 years ago that had a great year last year. Who's going to win this quarterback battle?
I think it's going to be a two quarterback system. I do think Cam Edge wins out. I think they're going to put Billy Edwards for goal line.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do just enough to get MJ Morris, keep him around, because, after this year we lose Billy Edwards and then whatever.
Yeah.
But we've got ourselves 2 pieces of the puzzle that I think is going to get showcased this upcoming spring game. One's Nolan Ray out of Michigan. He's top 20 recruit out of Michigan, and he's a running back.
Yeah.
They say he is bowling people over. We've done scrimmages of they're excited about him, and I cannot for the life of me, it just slipped my mind what the other guy's name was, but a wide receiver that we have on tap that is going to help out whoever, because you got Caden Prather, you're going to have, not Deiches, he's gone, but the other guy, Felton, and then you're going to a couple other guys, Wiskoski and a few others, but now we need that one other complementary piece to go with them, and we got this freshman last year who's going to be a sophomore now, and if the quarterback room can get settled and our O-line can come together, O-line,
yeah.
3 out of 4 pieces are brand new, so I don't know how well we're going to do in O-line, but so defense is looking great, so
yeah.
it's my offense is what I'm worried about. So
yeah, Nolan Ray was, what's going on in Lincoln right now, Nebraska, that's pretty scary stuff. I hope everyone's going to be all right, man. That's
we
terrible.
got severe weather.
Yeah, they're just having tornadoes left and right. I got a nephew of mine has a friend who does that. Who's down there right now tracking it. He has his own YouTube channel and he's tracking all those tornadoes. Anyways, Nolan Ray was he was last year. He was a freshman last year, I think. I think this is his
he was a redshirt freshman last year. We didn't play him
this
much.
is his second year. He's over 200 pounds. I know that. I remember his recruitment. Yeah, it should be interesting. Hopefully, we get to see him tomorrow. He's all ready to go tomorrow, right? Sometimes you just don't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard any bad news about him.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're going to have Roman Hemby. He's supposed to take a big leap forward this year. You're going to have Coleman McDonald.
Yeah.
He got himself in a little bit of trouble the year before, so the coaches didn't trust him. And when they put him in the game, he only matched the numbers of everybody else. And now he's actually on the good side of the coaches. So we got ourselves two solid running backs. We lost Littleton to Temple, which is fine by me because he was a fumble artist. And then now you got Nolan Ray, and then you got another 4-star that is going to be in the wings as a redshirt freshman, and then this year's class. So we're gonna be loaded at running back and probably wide receiver. We just got to get the quarterback thing figured out.
Yeah.
So that is my that's everybody's big question. You just don't replace Tia Tagovailoa that easily and expect to not miss a beat. But everybody looks at Drew Aller last year with Penn State. Rough start to the year.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, bang! He was throwing it around. He was doing. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, but he made a name for himself. So I'm hoping the same thing happens with us. Maybe we have a rough start and somebody gets it later. Couple of games because we got a pretty easy-ish first 4 or so games. We do have Michigan State in there, but I mean, we don't really have a very difficult game unless you want to consider going to Virginia. But for the first 4 games, seemed like they're pretty solidly a good chance to get your feet off the ground. After that, it's all hell breaks loose.
So you think it's going to be Cam and then Billy Edwards for the red zone.
Yeah, because he's the last 3 games of last year he had 8 or 9 touchdowns in a red zone alone, all running it. So, I mean, they found that package. Why stop it? I mean, you got your red zone guy right there. Yeah. You need a couple of yards to get that end zone. Why throw it? Just run it.
Yeah.
And so, and he filled in a couple of times, a couple of games. He did great against, Northwestern the year before, and he played another game. I think it was Rutgers or whatever. And he did okay. I mean, he didn't light it on fire, but he didn't have to. And if you go back and look at the Auburn game for the bowl season, Cam Edge showed out. I mean, I was impressed by what I saw. So I'm hoping that Cam Edge is what we get.
Yeah.
Because
does Rutgers have a spring game tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. You got Nebraska, you got Maryland, you got Rutgers.
Wow. I didn't know all 3 of them. All 3 of them are going. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Rutgers, man. You got Wimsatt and Caliac Manis going at it for the QB1. That has not been decided yet, supposedly. So that's probably going to go into August.
Now that the divisions are gone, and we don't have to worry about playing the same.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Big Ten here. You're going to play our biggest 3 powers that we got every year.
Yeah.
Now that we're actually mixing it around a little bit, maybe we might be able to get some footing. So some real footing.
Yeah.
But all right, man.
All right.
I know you got other callers want to call
Beautiful.
through. All right, appreciate it.
Thank
Talk
you,
to you later.
sir. Great call. I want to check one thing real quick here. Give me a minute or so. Give me a minute. Okay. All right, lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. If you hear some noise here, we got heavy rains here in Minnesota. Heavy rain. We don't have that bad weather that's happening in Nebraska right now. So, but give us a call. Phone lines open. Big story. The quickening is private equity has arrived, or it's going to arrive here real soon. officially, it's going to arrive real soon. People talking about it. Eric Prisbell on 3. Whole story this morning. We've already been through it already. Backed by the financial muscle of private equity, it's all about beginning to take shape. A lucrative, viable, sustainable second tier of the future professionalized college sports ecosystem. Prominent sources describe to On3. We talked about Amazon getting into the NBA mix when it comes to content, and they're not getting the bottom of the barrel content. They're getting really good. They're getting playoff content. They're getting Western Eastern Conference final content in their new deal with the NBA. So major streaming companies are going to be getting into the college football space. We also talked about, again, I'll put it up on the screen here. Kirk Herbstreit in June of 2023 said everybody's bracing for the 12-team playoff, which is cool and gets a lot of excitement. But I think what people are underestimating is how much more movement there's going to be in realignment. I feel like the Big Ten and the SEC, who are the big pillars in this whole thing, I don't know when it's going to happen, but they're not staying at 16. They're going to at least 20. Now, this was June of last year. Washington and Oregon officially moved to the Big Ten in August 4th of last year. Who's going where? Kirk Herbstreit says, where's North Carolina going? Where's Oregon going? Where's Washington going? Where's Clemson going to end up? Where's Florida State going to go? Where's Miami going? I honestly don't think Kirk Herbstreit knew then or now. I don't think anybody truly knows. We have it up on our sports book, on any given Saturday sports book in Heisman City, right off the 2 miles west on Keith Jackson Parkway. We have the chalk being Florida State and Miami to the Big Ten, North Carolina, Clemson, North Carolina State, and Virginia into the SEC. But nobody can really sit you down today, and especially last year, and say, this is where schools are going to end up. But what Kirk Herbstreit did here, and why he mentioned these schools, because this is where the chatter is, and the chatter remains these schools, except for, of course, Oregon and Washington. Because the Big 12 was able to crack the Pac-12 one more time, Oregon and Washington got that exit ramp to the Big Ten. But where's North Carolina going? Where's Clemson going? Where's Florida State going? Where's Miami going? It's not an accident. Not an accident that Kirk Herbstreit, he didn't just put out those schools because he woke up that morning, got out of the shower, put on his suit, went to the ESPN studios, and said all this. This is the chatter then. This is the chatter now. Just wanted to refresh everybody on that. That was said in June of 2023. Rock and rant. Chalk is the next 90 days. Eclipses the past 90. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much for your continued generosity, Mr. Rock and Rant. You know what? I'm going to take this time. I am going to take this time, since it's a little slow. I'm going to take the phone off the hook. This is probably a really good time. I'm going to ask you guys this question. You know what? I'm going to put it up in a poll. I'm going to put it up in a poll. Hold on a second here. This is the question. It's poll time. Joe Z, it's poll time. Do you want to hear the greatest joke of all time? And I'm being serious. It's the greatest joke of all time. When are you going to get an opportunity for the rest of your life to hear the greatest joke of all time? This is not a bait and switch. This is not a bait and switch. This is an actual joke, the greatest joke of all time. You can memorize this joke, rehearse this joke, tell it to your significant other, and you're gonna get a kiss on the cheek. You're gonna get a hug. You're gonna get a laughter. No, they blow. Yes, Greg. What's the poll like? What's the poll? We got 11% says no, 88% says yes. I'm giving 5 seconds more to vote on this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to end the poll. It's 91-9. 91-9. Okay. Now, this is not as bad as me singing. So, tell yourselves that. This is not as bad as my singing. So, here we go. Here is the greatest joke of all time. And if you've heard this joke, don't ruin it. Don't put it up on the... Just shh. Okay. The greatest joke of all time. A duck walks in to the library. A duck waddles into the library, goes up to the front desk, and puts out his wing to the librarian, goes like this. And the librarian's looking down at the duck, and she looks back, and she sees a book behind her on the shelf, takes the book, hands it to the duck. The duck puts the book underneath the wing, waddles out of the library, leaves. The next day, the duck comes back into the library, waddles into the library, flings the book onto the desk, and the librarian is astonished. The librarian is astonished. The librarian takes a real big book and puts it underneath, helps put it underneath the wing of the ducks. The duck gets that book, waddles out of the library, off it goes. The very next day, the duck comes back. The duck comes back with the book and gets it up on the shelf, and the librarian's like, wow, I already read that, wow. And the duck is quacking, wants another book, and the librarian takes the book, gives it to the duck, puts it underneath the duck's wing. The duck waddles out of the library for the third day in a row. But this time the librarian follows the duck. So the librarian waits a few seconds, goes out the front door, and sees the duck waddling down the sidewalk with the book under the wing. The duck keeps waddling down, and a couple more blocks goes across the railroad tracks. The librarian is following, but not too closely behind. Doesn't want to get caught. The duck waddles into the woods beyond the railroad tracks. The duck's waddling in the woods. The librarian keeps following, ducking behind trees and bushes. The duck gets to a stream, a little stream in the woods. Floats down the stream. The librarian's following the duck, walking down the side of the stream. Eventually, the duck gets in front of a frog. This big, massive frog. The duck lays down the book in front of the frog, opens up the book for the frog. Starts turning the pages for the frog. The frog looks up at the duck and says, Reddit, Reddit, Reddit. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest joke ever told right here at Peek Around the Corner. Weak. You guys are killing me. That's the greatest joke ever told. Come on. Singing, joke telling. Okay, that is a great joke. Now, you guys can probably tell it better than me. So, anyways, let's open up the phone lines. 763-260-1333. Just checking if there's any news going on. Nothing popped in the Pickens County court system. Nothing popped on that. Nothing has changed in the Mecklenburg County courts. We're keeping an eye on all things when it comes to the court system. Wow. Omaha, Nebraska. I'm going to show you the damage here a little bit. Here's a short little video, 6-second video. The damage. That's Omaha. That is Omaha, Nebraska. That is a high populated area. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. They have a spring football game tomorrow in Lincoln, Nebraska. Here's some more video. Warehouse building crushed. Massive damage through the Omaha, Nebraska area. Look at this video. Look at that. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. My prayers go out. Me and the little general, our house got hit by a tornado in Rogers, Minnesota. In Rogers, Minnesota. I'm glad that Mary liked the joke. It seemed like she was the only one who liked the joke. Everybody says it doesn't look like anybody else liked it. I cannot believe it. Love the coffee mug, Greg. Use it regularly. Thank you, Carrie Golnose. Carrie Golnose, thank you for the super chat. Carrie bought a mug. Carrie bought a mug. Go to our merchandise store. There's a link provided in the description box below the video. If you want to get a mug, here it is. CFBPATC.com. collegefootballpatc.com, or go to the link provided in the description box. There is some a mug, some t-shirts, trucker hats, hoodies, and there's going to be new merchandise coming up right before the college football season starts. New merchandise, new logo. If you're interested, go buy it. The hat, what happens when you order a hat is it takes, everything else arrives pretty quickly. The hat takes some time. This embroidering on the hat is very, very intricate. It's difficult to do. So, anyways, it's not cheap. It's not cheap how they do this. But anyways, if you're interested, go to our merchandise store and buy yourself a mug, t-shirt, whatever you want. That's a category 5, Kerry Knowles says. Thank you, Expedition Greg. Thank you. Thank you very much. Got a couple people. And here is the NFL Draft Day 2. According to PFF, Pro Football Focus, these are the top players remaining. Early in round two, and I said this at the beginning of the show, Cooper DeJean, I don't know how he did not get drafted in the first round. I don't. When people look back on this draft, people are going to be shocked that Cooper DeJean did not get drafted in the first round. And Mitchell, the wide receiver of Texas, my goodness. Big, strong, fast. I know Xavier Worthy got picked by the Chiefs, but my goodness. Mitchell is a man. Anyways, he's going to be a good prize for somebody. Newton, the defensive tackle for Illinois, big time. Kool-Aid, Alabama, cornerback. Powers Johnson, Oregon. Center, wide receiver, Troy Franklin, Oregon. Linebacker, Peyton Wilson, North Carolina State. Peyton Wilson had an incredible college football career. Hardly any defensive players were picked in the first round. It was stunning. Tyler Nubin, Minnesota Golden Gophers, should be the top safety picked. Absolutely. The Gophers safeties went from Antoine Winfield to Tyler Nubin. And the next one is Coy Perich. Coy Perich, remember the name. Tyler Nubin should be picked early tonight. McConkey, the wide receiver, Georgia. There's going to be room for him in the NFL somewhere. Center, Zach Frazier, West Virginia. Keon Coleman, Florida State. Transferred from Michigan State. Big reason why Florida State went undefeated last year. Keon Coleman. Roman Wilson. I'm not the biggest fans of the Michigan wide receivers who played with J.J. McCarthy. I don't think Roman Wilson, I would be shocked if he got drafted in the second round, to be honest with you. Sanders, tight end, Texas. Fisk, defensive lineman for Florida State. Measurements are not ideal. Javon Bullard, Georgia, he's the other safety that Polk, Washington, made big plays last year, the second half of last year. Play after play after play. You'd think it was McMillan or Ondunze, but it was Polk who made a whole bunch of big plays. Jonathan Brooks, Chris Jenkins, Blake Corum. Tough as nails. I would draft him. I would draft Blake Corum. No question about it. Tough, tough, tough. Another safety, Jaden Hicks, Washington State. Cornerback Max Melton, Rutgers. Looks like a day 3 pick. Blake Fisher, tackle, day 3 pick. Trey Benson, Florida State, Mr. Break the Tackles, Trey Benson. Man, if it was a different age, running backs don't get drafted high. They don't get the big contracts coming out of college nowadays. But if Trey Benson was coming out for the 1981 draft, NFL, Trey Benson would be one of the top picks. Walker, wide receiver, North Carolina, needs a little bit more development. Walker's not a polished product. If you see him run, he takes up a lot of ground in just a short little time. Spencer Rattler has a sensational arm. Sensational arm. In fact, this is who I compare Dylan Raiola with, Nebraska. Going to watch a little bit of Dylan Raiola in the Nebraska spring game tomorrow. Spencer Rattler has a beautiful arm. A lot of other stuff. We'll see if he can. We'll see if he can mature. Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving, Oregon. Former Golden Gopher. Johnny Wilson. Got to be intriguing. Somebody might be taking him at the end of day 2. 6'7", 6'7", incredible radius when catching the ball.
Call from
JD.
JD, Mr. Seminole is on the line. The floor is yours.
Well, now you have 2 different additional shows you could add to your repertoire. You could do a comedy hour, and then a couple nights a week you could do the whole paranormal thing, and you can compete with Coast to Coast and some of those other ones. Because don't get me wrong, I dig the whole paranormal thing. I really do.
I'm not a. How do I say it? I'm not interested in a lot of that stuff, but I'm interested in some of that when it comes to data, when it comes to these sensors picking things up, when it comes to we can't figure out what's going on in our air, in our atmosphere. We can't figure out what's going on in our oceans. We don't know if it's a different, we talk about the human, we talk about the animal kingdom, we talk about plants. Is there another category? Or is it just is there some energy stuff we don't understand? Is it plasma? Is it this? Do we actually have a retrieval program for crafts? When it comes to paranormal, there's large parts of it that I don't quite get into, but there are some parts is holy smokes, what is going on here? But anyways, go ahead, JD.
No, I'm not really into the whole ghost thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a ghost hunter type person. You get a scientific documentary on Bigfoot, Dogman, or these cryptids and so on. A lot of times there's a scientific explanation to it, and I like when people dive into it and give it a real consideration, and that fascinates me. And UFOs, it is kind of startling when the government acknowledges that they have biological, I guess, non-human biological entities. That's kind of startling.
Well, they haven't. They haven't admitted that though.
The whistleblowers have
Yes,
saying that
yeah,
that's right. That
yeah.
the whistleblowers are saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, now this will be for another conversation. But some of the UFOs people theorize are biologics. There's parts of our atmosphere that aren't as cold as what people think, and there's things that could potentially exist up there that are natural, just natural biological creatures, and so that would explain a lot of things. But anyway, this is a college football show. You could just let me know when you're going to have your paranormal show, and I'll call in and talk about that.
Yeah.
But the most fascinating thing, I think, the catalyst. We were thinking which court case was really going to push this along as far as FSU is concerned. And I think when Miss Moody entered stage left a few days ago, that's the one that's going to push everything, because they've already got a judge. Now, when is she going to get a hearing? I would guarantee. Well, I would assume it's going to be in May, and I would hope that's her intention. And it just seems like she's going to step in and try to expedite things. But so we'll see. Next week's going to be. I think this weekend might be a little relaxing because on the FSU end, I guess everybody decided to take the weekend off because nobody's really saying much the last day or two. Mm-hmm. It's gotten kind of quiet, and which is to be expected. But you've got two things next week. You've got the North Carolina hearing. You've got FSU will have to refile their amendments. Do they add anything to the amendments? Is there anything else they decide to add to it? That has to happen next week. And then you would assume you'll hear something from the court on when there'll be a hearing, from Ashley Moody and Attorney General. But anyway, so that's moving that along. I think May is going to build up. I just feel like something's going to pop in June, and then I'm glad you brought it up in your show. There's been this chatter for a couple of years, and people just thought it was just rumors and people trying to create I don't know, just create something or some type of momentum where it might not necessarily exist. And again, I think a lot of this is coming from different levels, but realignment is being pushed by the networks. I absolutely believe this. They're hurting a bunch of cats is what they're doing, and they're just pushing them along and pushing them along. And when these rumors come out, it's coming from the top levels and it's filtering down. And then what happens is people, in like every rumor, they get it wrong. That they change it to help influence something for their school or influence it the way that they want it to go. And the original message might not actually be the original conversation. The original conversation might only involve one or two schools, and then next thing you know, 10 schools are involved, when really it's not. But it's just, I think a lot of the information is put out purposely to gain momentum, and then disinformation kicks in. But then, for myself, I'm always looking for where's the reliable sources? What is the reliable message? And then I appreciate you having this show today because you're reminding me of things that were said last year. And I didn't get in. I was driving, so I didn't get in with the chat, but I knew it was Kirk Herbstreit. I just didn't. I don't know. It's kind of a curse word for me these days. But anyway, I'm joking. I'm not that bad. But it's just reminded of things that were being said back then, and then the names that are involved in realignment now, and just this continued push. And then, I don't know, it helps me to center in on, or zero in on, where I'm getting my information and how does that check out. So, I know it might be a slow news day, and you just took the time to kind of set the stage for the summer, and I appreciate that. Are you hearing anything about any other school? Are there any other ACC schools that you're hearing chatter about?
No, and we ask that question quite often. No, we don't. We haven't heard anything. Now, we do know that Clemson has until May 7th and to file something in the Mecklenburg court. They have until May 7th. So we should be expecting something soon, next week, whatever, with that. I just checked the Leon County court, and there is no additional information besides what was put on there yesterday, April 25th. So we don't have a date yet, that first day, the date of when it's all going to go down on that case, Moody versus the ACC. So we're waiting for that date to be, shown to us. Other than that, we're waiting for May 2nd. That's the next day in Mecklenburg County, Florida State and ACC. So May 2nd there. Clemson has until May 6th, May 7th to answer back on Mecklenburg County against the ACC. And we're waiting to see the date drop between Moody and the ACC. So in Leon County. That's where we're at. But no, I haven't heard anybody else jumping in the fray. No chatter, anyways. Not from us. We're not getting that information.
I haven't heard a thing about anybody else. I mean, I would assume. I know what Miami's doing. I know they're just sitting back and waiting, and I think there's an assumption that if multiple doors open, they'll get one of them. And I understand. I can rag on them all I want, for them not jumping in, but they are in a precarious position, and I can understand why they would want to sit back and just let things play out and monitor it, and then, when that opportunity arises, move forward. But I was just trying to think if there was anybody else that we don't consider, that could potentially. It's been my contention for a long time, going on 2 years. Well, let me rephrase this. 2 years or 2.5 years ago, I assumed the Big Ten and the SEC would both go to 24 sooner rather than later. I understand how the media market is now. I still contend the smartest move for the Big Ten is to jump to 24 and call it a day. And there would be teams that would come in at a half share in the short term. And you want to talk about having if there's a good Texas school that wants to come in, you could grab them, and then multiple teams in the Southeast, and your presence, you would have a true national presence. But that's just me. Mm-hmm. That's me, and they may completely disagree, but I just see the benefit, of having a presence. I still think the Big Ten should go after Clemson. Do I think they should bring in Miami? Sure. I think they should go after Clemson because there's only so many football brands left, and I understand they may not be the academic institution that the Big Ten would want. But as you've referred to with Nebraska, that potentially the Big Ten has set benchmarks in place for Nebraska. Oh, I thoroughly believe if the Big Ten had a path forward for Clemson stating, well, this is where you need to be in 10 years and this is where you need to be in 15. And can you be here in 15? And I thoroughly believe Clemson would make the academic investments to be there. Now, it may not be that Big Ten is not necessarily where they want to go. I don't know, but just seeing if the Big Ten really wants to be the preeminent national conference, and I'm not saying they aren't already, but they have an opportunity because they seem to be a little more aggressive than the SEC is at the moment, at least in recent moves. They'd have an opportunity to have a significant presence in the Southeast, which means at that point they cover the whole country if they can get a team out of Texas. But anyway, just some thoughts. But anyway, I appreciate your show as always, sir.
You got it, buddy.
JD,
I appreciate it. Could be a busy week next week.
Yes, sir. Have a great weekend.
Man. All right, beautiful.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Terrible, large tornado on the ground near Minden, Iowa. Tornado emergency issued for the surrounding areas. And I just saw more tornado warnings all over the place in Iowa. So, Iowa, Nebraska, keep safe. That is a big tornado. These are massive. Cope. Great content, Mr. Flugar. By the way, my cousin Marcus Major is a golfer this year. Good luck in 2024. Marcus Major, I think, is he did not he is a golfer. He did not practice. He's trying to recover from his surgery. Right? He had his surgery, so he's trying to heal up. Supposedly he'll be ready for August, and he'll be battling for running back number 2 behind the beast, Darius Taylor. And Darius Taylor had a little bit of a surgery going on. So we had a lot of injuries, golfers, this spring. One of the many reasons we didn't even have a spring football game. But Marcus Major, yes, thank you. Cope, I appreciate it. Kerry Gold knows no defensive players taken until pick 19. Well, the Vikings picked Dallas Turner, picked 17. There was somebody picked 15th or 16th, I believe, a defensive player. But yeah, we got the Vikings got the sack machine, Dallas Turner, Alabama Crimson Tide. Jamie Thornton, Mrs. Razorback, I can tell you SEC is all over UNC and Clemson. Patrick says North Carolina State will likely be a calamity situation. Thank you, Kerry Gold Knowles, for your incredible generosity today. And like always, thank you so very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we've been on the air for 2 hours, so I think we'll close it up. I do appreciate the incredible donations. Kerry Gold knows. I believe really great comments in the comments section, phone calls and everything. The quickening is happening. We're heading into the weekend. We are planning a live show Saturday night. Now, again, if you're new to the channel or if you haven't done it so yet, please hit the subscribe button. We could come on live at any time. We may have to come on live early Saturday morning. During the afternoon, I don't think I'm going to be able to come on. But we're planning on doing a show Saturday night to set the table for this coming week. Very interesting times. A quickening is happening in college football. What is college football ultimately going to look like here in the summer of 2024? Can there be any more drastic changes? It looks like private equity is coming down the tracks very, very fast. So buckle up, brace for impact. Wild, wild, wild stuff, as Johnny Carson said back in the day. Thank you so very much. Keep your head on a swivel. Please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.